Real quick, back office. These are places you have to get comfortable going to and talking with people so that we can be as productive as in our uniforms as we are in civilian life.
Sweet, there. All right, so exactly where you were. Sorry.
So yeah, with the Veterans Transition Network, we aim to have them in a resort setting outside of an urban metropolis, right? It gives everybody a lot of time for perspective, right? Mm-hmm. It's 10 days. It runs on 3 different weekends. You have the first weekend's 4 days, the second weekend's 4 days, and then the last weekend's 2 days. Mm-hmm. On the first weekend, if I was to describe it to you, it would be just like the first time rolling outside the wire. Mm-hmm. You're like, are these people who I'm with all really good to go? Am I good to go? And more along the lines of a lot of people are always worried about themselves. They're worried that their stuff isn't valid.
Ooh.
And that's something, that's a natural feeling, right? Is my stuff, is valid as
and especially when you're going in as a group setting.
Right? Yeah, because you're like, well, is this person going to laugh at me for mine?
Yeah.
I
used to feel that.
Yeah, mine's like, to give you an example, and I only pull from my own experiences, is that we had somebody who was like, oh, I feel like mine's not as good as somebody else's because I don't have as much trigger time as they do, right?
Yeah.
Now, the guy with the trigger time will look at you and say, what are you talking about, right? Mm-hmm. You have like so many on and on years, right? Which is exactly what we're trying to create, but we don't create it. The people who are on the course do. Is the comradeship, right? Yeah. The teamwork, the fact that there is no judgment because everybody on it is a veteran. Yeah. None of us serve anymore. None of us are in the army.
Nice.
I don't have a rank. I'm not sergeant. I'm just James, right?
Yeah.
And
hey, buddy.
The problem is like usually a lot of guys go in, they think like it's going to be their combat experience. It's going to be like really, it's never that. It's never that. It always is never that. Almost 95% of the time, it's never about your inner combat experiences. It's about maybe I'm having really bad communication with people. Yeah. Just in general, not specifically your wife or your kids, but that could be it too. But I'm having trouble, hearing or even expressing myself. Mm-hmm. So that's a problem. There's numerous amounts of guys that come through that do have drug addiction problems, and that is completely fine too. It's a byproduct, right? But it's perspective. It's all on how you look at things, and like, guys have come in and they had an addiction to like video games, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that
would be easy. Why wouldn't you? World of Warcraft, you're chilling in your home, probably with your friends still serving because it's World of Warcraft, and your boys that aren't, and you're fucking...
And maybe you are, and maybe you're hanging out with them all on the computer for 18 hours a day, and your 2 kids, and your 2 kids, and your
are bugging you.
Wife.
You're shooing them away.
Yeah, right? So... one of the greatest examples is I don't ever say to somebody like, "Oh, just stop doing that. Just stop playing a video game," because it's not gonna work, right? No. It's not gonna work. So why not incorporate your family into the video game then? And so are you willing to get a Wii or buy a game that's like a Jeopardy game, or what about a board game? What about something that again? And it all focuses a lot on the same thing. What am I doing, right? I'm connecting you to people. I don't want you just because it's great to talk to somebody over a headset and know, yeah, bro, I got your back, yeah, but once that game's over and you turn that off, life is awaiting your desperate return. Okay, so
you nailed that.
Wow, so in that case, if you are gonna play video games for that stuff. Now this concept doesn't work with everything, right? Because like you do drugs, I'm not saying bring your family in and do them with you, right? Like that's obviously, but that is just for that particular case. But like in the VTN, in the times that I've been there, I've been able to see tons of stuff, tons and tons of stuff, and I've seen the good parts and the bad parts too. I've seen where it's like worked, where somebody gets the most beautiful change out of their body, their heads up, they're not pulling their hat over their head, they're looking up with their eyes and they're like, I get it, like I get it. What it is completely different to everybody. I mean, and that's the thing, and you only get
where they are,
and you only get that with, like, I find honestly when there's the camaraderie. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily because they're all veterans, but that does have something to do with it.
It's a common denominator.
But yeah, there has to be a common denominator in treatment. There has to be a connection, and without that, without that, there's one person sitting outside the box, and everybody's worried about that person. They're stressed out. Like, is this person truthful? Why are they being evasive? And they seem evasive, but they're not being evasive. They're just not. You're just haven't connected with them on a level, right? So, yeah. So then the first weekend that you're there, you go through. It's kind of like you feel like, okay, is everybody good to go? Like on this like kind of journey, so to speak, or like on this mission, whichever way you want to put it. Is everybody good to go? Okay, yeah, and then. There's some things that are taught both practically, right, and then also from psychologists that are there. Nice. So like you get the mix of both.
Like practical for life, like the hard things.
Smart goal setting, realistic expectations. Like for me,
not like coming out of the army with like I had unrealistic expectations. I was like, okay, like I just got to take over everything. Here we go, fucking.
I don't doubt it, because I like to gather that most people do, just all on different factors, right? Like I know I'm working with a guy right now who is like, I want to play hockey, and he wants to get back into hockey. And I use this example because it's a small thing, and people look at it and be like, oh, hockey, like what's that got to do with anything else? But when you really legitimately look at it, it connects him to a whole bunch of other people. He has something outside of his house that's his own, so he doesn't feel like I'm at home and I don't have anything that's mine, right? And like it's great if his wife goes and kids watch, and that's great. But like that time is his time, right?
60 minutes.
But he's like, oh, I want to be on a hockey team right now, James. That's impossible. Because the teams have already started. They've been started since September. You're not going to be able to get on one. Plus, you've never played hockey before. Why don't we start out with like a pickup game? Or, because you have your skates, why don't you go for a free skate? Try that out first, right? And then once you get better at that, then you could go up, right?
Yeah.
And there's this thing in the VTN, I wish I had it on me right
now. That's
now.
a hard thing for an adult to do. I'm going to stay on that real quick.
Oh, yeah.
That's really neat, because that's childhood first steps he's going through, but as a fucking man.
Older man. Yeah. You have to look at it that way, though, because if you don't, then you are already setting yourself up for a failure. I think personally.
Heartbreak.
Well, your goals and your expectations, like everybody says, oh, I shoot for the moon and you land here, and that's great, right? But like if I realistically look at where I can go and I achieve that, I'm only going to continue to go up from there then, right? Because I've felt the gratitude of myself being like, oh, I set this goal to get there. All these things happened. I did it really well, and it's done. Man, that sense of accomplishment, that sense of pride gives you the full circle to back to insight about something else and say, okay, I want to try and master that. And keep going back, because it never ends. Never ends. And somebody asked me the other day, said, well, what happens when everybody's good? When I'm good, when all my friends are good, when everything's good. So, okay, so then why don't you take a look at getting some insight or dissect that and say, why is it
Yeah,
so good?
why is it good? Whoa.
And I want to reproduce that feeling of why everything's good. Like, why are things good? Because we're all working, you know, and we're, you know, things are, yeah, they fall in line, but things don't fall in line unless you work for them, right?
That's
like,
right.
unless you're willing to put in a little bit of effort, these things aren't going to happen, right? So that's kind of thing. And like, you can do it in a big circle, little circle, and that's something we teach on the VTN, is like seeing the insight to something, having SMART goals, and SMART stands for something, they're all, it's all measurable, assertive, time respectful, stuff like that, and that's for your goals. But once you get to that goal, it's like,
I'm dropping time. Time is my crutch because I was like, you know, I'm scared of time. So only thing in that thing, I'm just gonna chill on the time, and so I'm gonna lose my time spectrum and just have proper goals.
and that's
me.
That's fine, but like, again, time respectful doesn't necessarily mean by a 24-hour clock.
No,
Or
and
it just means by saying okay,
each minute scared me. I failed each minute.
it's Monday morning, Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
You and me wake up on Monday morning. You have the goals to. You have to go to this.
I can tell you right now. I can tell you my mandate right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up, feed the dogs, do the dishes from the kids, put them out. Then I'm gonna vacuum. Start the pot of coffee.
So before all this starts,
Yeah.
So go back on what you said, right? So you feed the dogs.
Yes.
Let's start with that one, right?
I want to make the bed
Okay. When do you make the bed?
as soon as I wake up.
You already have a goal that is
That's right.
time sensitive.
Yeah. Okay.
As soon as you wake up, you've already done it.
All right. That's fair.
You've already done it. You see
Okay, but I can't dwell on the time because
No. But like, it's not saying like if you were to shoot for a goal and say, well, I'm going to go to Costco, and I'm going to go to Costco by 5 p.m. on Tuesday evening.
Nice.
That is bad.
That's bad.
Bad.
Oh.
You should say like, I will go to Costco by Thursday.
By Thursday.
See, a deadline is there than a timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a deadline, you say, well, you know what? If I go to Costco this week, right? If I can get to Costco this week, then that's a goal, right? And that's an achievable goal because you have 7 days in the week to go.
Right.
But do you have gas? Do you have a car? These are all outside.
Oh my dude.
All outside factors that will affect your goal, which doesn't make
Which
it
would
realistic.
break up the 5 p.m. if you put that goal and you don't have
You
gas.
even need to go to the time. You're not even being realistic because if you don't have a way or means to get to Costco, how are you gonna make that a goal? So then I gotta change my goal from getting to Costco is I need to find somebody who can give me a ride to Costco on Wednesday.
Yeah. Cool.
You see?
Break it
It's just a small little
I like that
shift
a
in
lot.
how you look at it, right? And the time stuff, there's a time sensitivity, but like you don't realize that you're already time sensitive to a lot of things.
That's
when
right.
you feed the dogs, right? When do you feed your dog? Because I feed my dog twice a day. It's once in the morning when I wake up, and it's once at 6 o'clock at night. That is time sensitive, but I have to do it.
Morning, and then when Guts essentially signals
Yeah.
in the evening, or before bed, time sensitive.
Time sensitive.
Time
see?
sensitive.
But it's still in that day, like
It's
you're
within that.
already doing it.
Locked in.
And like a lot of people don't realize that and that is another part of the VTN that they go into is like being able to look at yourself and say, "Holy cow!" Right?
I nail all these fucking
I'm
things.
doing this
Yeah.
right. I'm actually like I had a list on Monday. I started with is a great example. I had a list on Monday. I started with about 8 deep, right? And by the time Monday afternoon came around, I was done 5 of them. I looked at the other 3. One was a real disappointment because I was actually in the store and I could have bought the thing right there.
Yeah.
But do I get hung up on that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, because I looked and said, but look at all the other things and places I got to.
Wicked.
So I'll go get that tomorrow, right?
Wow.
So
What a
we're
nice
really
thought.
we're the hardest people on ourselves. We will naturally battle ourselves until we have nothing left. But we have to really start opening up. And when you are in the group setting, that's where like the encouragement comes from. It comes from your brother, your sister, the people who are in the room, and they say, you know, like, hey man, like, man, that's got to be hard because I don't have kids and I'm in the room. But how do I connect with a guy who has kids, right? Because there's, you know, there's that disconnect where I don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like. But guess what? I was a kid at one point, so I know what it's like to grow up in a household and be a son. And just the same as anything else is like, once we get over
perspectives.
Once we get over the you worked in this and you worked in that, and that's what the
I like what you said too. I even caught myself twice today too. I said I'm from 2VP. I didn't say I'm a veteran.
You know what though? It's unit pride is great, and like, but what I'm saying is even go further than and deeper than that is like it is the self entitlement, right? That we all feel that we need to have. It's fine and it's there. It's just it's being comfortable with taking it too, right? Like and like that's the thing in the group. I look at these people and I say, hey, listen, man, like I can only imagine the struggle you're in with like 2 kids and doing this and coming here and all that stuff. But I know when you go home after hearing like 4 other guys who have kids and they connect and they say, well, you know, this resource helped me, or you know, this you know, method of you know, because there's no book that says, oh, here's being the perfect parent, here's being the perfect kid, here's being the perfect partner. There's none of that. Right? We only learn by talking to others and like gaining experience from life experience. So being in a room with 6 other people who have lots of life experience in the same areas is a benefit, right? Yeah. So you kind of figure that out the first weekend and you really actually get by dropping your like, oh, I'm you know, I'm James, I did this, like, nah, you know what? It's gone. It's just like, hey, you know, like this is trouble. So it's the second weekend is the toughest one, and it's not like every time I talk about it, it's like if we put it on the brochure, nobody would show up. It's like work, right? It's reenactment therapy. It's not enactment. So like there's 2 very different things.
Scene.
And I'm not going to give the jam of it because that's what makes the course the best, but I will tell you after the second weekend, 100% you will be changed. For which way is your own choice, but you will be different. If you're honest about what it is that you're struggling with, and if you're honest about what it is blocking you in life right now, you will get more out of it than you ever believed, right? As a person who's willing to work, right? And I think like, and I don't, you know, just because I work with the VTN doesn't mean I don't promote any other ones. There's lots of great treatment places out there, and like all are different for different levels, because all of us, like we've talked many times, I've told you, you know, one size does not fit all.
That's right.
And not every time is your situation the same as another, right? So you get to a lot of treatment places, guys are like, oh, you can get this and that. Well, no, you can't, right? Because you're not actually in the same
category.
Yeah, as them. You're a veteran. That's right. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate that has happened, but that is going to be the reality for all of us have done different.
I never want them to change that, because you still have more time in than me, so you get more benefits. Otherwise, it's an unfair. Well, no, I get tons of benefits. Okay, but whatever it is, I'm not even going to because I don't know the fucking benefits. But I appreciate the people who paid 30 years. They get fucking bigger monies than me.
Oh, and
never change it.
And you know what? With the system that they have, my biggest thing is that they always offer the
mental
assistance.
health. They do.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right, because even if somebody doesn't have money, let's say that money is their issue, right? It's probably not their only issue. There's probably something else behind there, right?
Why,
yeah, but
deeper.
like if money is their big issue and they can't get, and it is their issue, there are places out there that will definitely help you pay first and last month's rent. They'll help you get groceries and all that stuff, right? And
yeah, they will.
There's a ton. But like at the same respect too,
so what's people's issues with that? Let's get into it.
The vax thing
What's
is
the issue?
It's been
that's what I thought.
It's been a tough road for VAC. Okay, and one of the things, I mean, this all again is personal, and I'm sure lots of people say different things. Like I found from my talking with a lot of veterans and stuff like that when VAC and I hate to scoop it in, but the Legion had this idea about the lump sums. That's when a lot of people lost the respect for that. It's very tough, and it's gotten better. And I have an article and and a thing about treatment about VAC actually, and it says like, if you were to ask me in 2010 about how VAC treated people, my thoughts would be very simple, and there'd be a lot of curse words, right? But in the last 8 years, they've vastly improved. Like we were talking outside, I went the other day and they took my stuff, and yeah, right, and that is that to me is like, holy cow, right? Cool. Now we're afforded that opportunity here in Kingston. I know there's a lot of guys, again, because men and women, they choose to live in isolation. Now, if you choose to do that, I'm all for you, and I good on you for being able to buy a place, but you can't really complain about the process it takes to get into VAC, right? Because you don't live near an office, you have to go meet them, but they are getting better.
They are.
I got a Toronto case manager, and she comes here.
You can go on veteran.gc, and my issue was I made everything a giant fucking issue. But now I'm changing my perspective, and it's like these are steps not with an evil corporation, but with an entity of small little problems that I have to make solutions to. And so I got my VAC account, and I told my case manager today personally, I said, we're going to be in contact every single week. Yeah. You're going to email me, because I don't like the phone. I don't want them to text me. That's too personal. Yeah. So we're going to, on the My VAC page, communicate. And even if it's at the lowest common word and it's hello, and there's nothing to pass on, but at least we're going to stay connected.
You want that connection.
Yeah. And they afforded me that opportunity.
And you
so
know
you
what?
can do that in isolation.
So there you go. What you just said is like a classic example. See, years ago,
that wasn't there.
That wouldn't exist. You'd ask for that, they'd laugh at you.
Yeah, and that's the point of this. So I'll put the link.
But here's a great thing: is like one thing I hear a lot of people complain about is like the people who are like faking, lying, or something like that. Like, and I know they're out there, and it's unfortunate, right? It's really unfortunate. But those people have problems too, right? Yeah. And they have a whole different. But like the process in which like VAC does things does weed those people out.
Yeah, 100%, man. They poke and prod me, and I do my proper
if you're
steps.
honest and everything is like good, on the up and up, like you know what, you eventually like it's a time. I like to call it a patience building exercise. Is like you have to wait.
Well, it's the same in the non-veteran life.
Like everything.
I'm on disability through my work.
I think I'm just.
And I have 3 binders this thick, full of documentation that I would have to fill out. I mean, every week there was more forms and doctors' visits.
And they are hunting you.
And they're hunting you.
And VAC can hunt. I don't think they hunt us.
I don't feel tough. I know the kind of like the feeling it gives somebody, because I mean, like, I'd be honest on myself. Like, I sat in front of 16 different people and talked to them about ED when I was like 32 years old. So like about 6 years ago, right? And so like you imagine
you talking about what?
About my ED, erectile dysfunction, right? Like, and like why? Because I have metal that blocks the vein that produces blood, so I need something to push through a smaller vein, right? It's not a matter of it doesn't work, it's just a matter of the blood, right?
Changing.
So, but like you gotta go in front of
16 people.
And I don't know any of these people.
Motherfuckers.